Hey everyone, welcome to Shifty's Club. Today I'm gonna talk about a bunch of different rogue decks, and see, I'm gonna try to get a little more comfy here because I really don't feel like. Sorry guys, put myself like. Okay, this should be good enough. I want to give myself enough room because I've got a laptop, got my drink next to me, and I'm gonna be going. This video is actually gonna be kind of long, so. Bear with me here. In the comment section, I'm going to say this now. In the comment section, or not comment section, sorry, the description section, I'm going to put exactly what deck I talk about. I'm going to put exactly at what time on the line you can go to look for the start of it. So this way you don't have to watch the whole movie if you don't want to. If there's a specific deck that gives you interest, then you can do that one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a bunch of different rogue decks that I have tested out and I really feel are going to be useful. And some of them are just fun decks. There's some that no one will understand and will absolutely call me an idiot just for mentioning before they even test them out themselves. So let's get down to business. The very first deck I will mention is basically an all basic deck and involves the following cards. Let's see. The first one would be Druddigon from Noble Victories. Not the best card anymore. See which format is. What set is that stupid thing from? I apologize. It's kind of taking me a while to get to jog my memory of exactly where this Pokemon's at. I know it's here somewhere. Come on, show yourself. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about Druddigon while I'm getting it. Druddigon is basically has an ability that works like a Rocky Helmet. It basically what it does is if you attack Druddigon, he's going to put 2 damage counters on you. And it's a good ability, not saying it's the best, but it's, a good ability. The attack for 3 colorless does 60, and the defending Pokemon can't retreat during the next turn. Where are you at, you little son of a... Please tell me it came out in this format. It had to have come out this format. It had to. There is no way that it still hasn't come out. If it does, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it because I've already got it out anyway. But it might still be in the Megalo Cannon set, and I hope and pray it's not, because that means it wouldn't have come out yet. And when you look at it, it is. And the Pokemon is Sigilyph, and it's basically its ability is Item Box, and you have up to 4 Pokemon tools attached to it, and then you're. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this now since I've already kind of got it. I didn't realize that it was in the Megalo Cannon in Japan. Yeah, and it's and if my Japanese is correct, its attack is. That's translated. It's wind, yeah. Basically, wind cut wind or something. And then for a psychic and 2 colorless is 70 damage, and all that. Basically, what Sigilyph does is can hold not only its own Rocky helmets, but also like Rock Guard itself. And if Druddigon was to hold like Rock Guard, then it would the defending Pokemon would take 80 every time it hit. Same thing with Sigilyph taking 4 Rocky helmets to itself. It would hold 80 damage to the opponent every time they attack. They would take 80 damage. Just a really great idea of how you can literally piss your opponent off. It's not the best deck. I know it's not the best deck, but I thought it'd be just cool, you know, just to put out there. And the third card that goes with it kind of keeps it going. Actually I have tested this, and it's actually not as bad as people think it is in this particular format. But of course, when Cradily comes out, a bunch of stage 2s are going to start raping the crap out of the place. Let's see here. I believe it's in Boundaries Cross, but I want to make exactly sure, because it might not be. No, it's not. It is in the Dragons Exalted, maybe? You gotta be freaking kidding me. It's not even in Dragons Exalted. That means it's in Dark Explorers, because I know it's not in the first 4. Okay, it's in the Plasma. I honestly did not think it came out in Plasma Storm. Anyway, let's get down to it, because I know it's here. Yeah, okay. Lunatone is a weird Pokemon with a 3 retreat cost. Holy crap, that is a lot. And you just better hope and pray that it doesn't get captured up. But of course, I ran Float Stone because obviously Sigilyph can have up to 4 freaking item cards onto it. So it can have an item card with some like a Rocky helmet or a Rock Guard, or just a bunch of bullcrap on it. So just to kind of piss off the opponent a little. But Lunatone basically is you look at the top 2 cards of your deck. And put them back on top in any order. And what this does is opens you up for an Ether. And Ether is a good form of energy acceleration for basic Pokemon when they're not Plasma, because in this way you can at least accelerate your energy count. Now, I'm not saying Lunatone Ether is the best energy acceleration out there, because it certainly is not. And like I said, it's just a great thing to play around with, a good concept. And if anyone ever wins this at a tournament, then I will literally not stop shaking their hand. Deck 2. And I'm not saying it's completely rogue, I'm just saying it's definitely going to go out this year, so someone might as well play it. And I just want to make sure I know exactly what the this one does. And every one of you have seen it if you're in the game, so it's no stranger. And the Pokemon is Electric from Noble Victories. Its ability Dynamotor is basically, once your turn, before you attack, you may attach a lightning energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. And its stupid attack for 2 lightning, colors electric ball for 50, which no one uses. HP at 90, stage 1, fighting weakness 2 retreat cost. Okay, now Dynamotor is going to work in favor of another Pokemon in this case. In this specific case, we are going to be using, from Plasma Storm, Black Kyurem. And the way we're going to get this to work is basically, because Black Kyurem requires 2 water energy, and then a lightning and a colorless to do 200 and discard 3 energy attached to the Pokemon, no one really thought about, trying to make Black Kyurem Electric work. So the Black Kyurem really can work with this deck. You just have to know what you're doing. And when I say that, I'm not being modest. I'm saying you really have to make a strategic deck to make sure you fill in all the gaps. Because in this case, you can't just straight attach from your hand with superior energy retrieval, which now Blastoise is going to rape the crap out of every Stage 2 deck and claim itself as the #1 Stage 2 deck in format. Superior energy retrieval is broken in Blastoise decks. And now people start running 4 Black Kyurem in it and 1 or 2 Keldeo. However, with Black Ballista, what you can do is attach, obviously, the 2 lightning, but instead you have Float Stone that came out from Plasma Freeze. This is where it starts to work. You have the Float Stones on your Black Curums. You have 2, and then you can have 2 or more electric, and if you need to have attached Float Stones, you can allow yourself up to 4. The deck I made does have 4, but if I can, I mean, if I get time to post the deck list, I will. But probably the best idea for this deck, and what I was doing was attaching 3 or more lightning energy according to how many electric I had. I just kept using the Float Stone to retreat back and forth. I did put in Switch in case I can't find Float Stone. So yes, you do have other options out. You do have a few energy retrievals and 1 superior energy retrieval just to get back those water that you absolutely just cannot get back. You do have the WLFM energy to split the water lightning in case you absolutely have to. And the only reason you would ever do this is in the case of Black Curum, where you can only keep attaching lightnings onto it, and you want to make sure that you have 1 split energy for the next time you attach. You won't ever have to run into that problem. But most people wouldn't run WLFM energy, so it's okay. Either way you want to go, it doesn't really matter. Just remember that it's basically Black Curum, Electric, and Ditto. That's all the Pokemon you use in the deck, period. So, and why Ditto? Well, Ditto kind of keeps the consistency of having enough basic Pokemon to start yourself out with. And Ditto allows for Pokemon communication to come into play here. Instead of relying solely on Ultra Ball, you can rely on not only the 4 Ultra Ball, but also 2 or 3 well-played communication, depending on how you see fit. Because you can't rely on just 4 Ultra Ball and your supporters to get you everything you need. You really need to have a way to get your setup on turn 2, turn 3. And that's where your Junipers also come into play. And just like any other deck that requires to discard the energy, you would have not only the Ultra Ball and Juniper, but you would have the Computer Search / Dowsing Machine itself inside the deck as well. So this deck is probably the 2nd best deck out of all of them I have mentioned. Let's see. Go to the next deck. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Pull that down there. It's got to be in the set. I'm almost positive it's in this set. Okay, here it is. Now, this is probably the least of Pokemon decks to actually make it in to my list, but because I've actually gotten this deck to work in like a few battles, I'm actually going to mention it, but I'm not going to give it any praise because it does suck. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But this one is Clefable from the Plasma Storm. And its Moon Guidance is, once during your turn, you may flip a coin if had search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon, and it does count as evolving, and shuffle your deck afterward. So, with multiple Clefables in play, you can run multiple stage 2s in structures like 2-2-2 or 1-1-1. And you could end up setting up with multiple Clefables, and then end up using your one. Oh God, what do they call it? I think it's in Plasma Freeze. If it came out in Plasma Freeze, if it didn't, it's still in the Black and White 9. And I'm really bad at not looking to see whether something came out this set or not. And because I'm really curious about what it is, I've got to go back to my webpage. Let's go down. Okay, Scoop Up Cyclone is from the Megalo Cannon set. and it's basically just a scoop up. Return with your Pokemon, all cards attached to it to your hand. There's no drawbacks. So it's one of the things that, you know, I kind of have a tendency to do accidentally. But, yeah. Hold on a second. I've actually got a very good list with Clefable for this, or Clefable, sorry. I don't know why I'm calling it Man, I've been playing too much Pokemon Stadium. Yeah, that's right, it was. It was. Okay, so the first one that goes with it is the Magnezone from the same set. And it basically says you can play 2 supporters in 1 turn. Which I like because you can run a 1-1-1 Magnezone, and if you don't prize anything, then whoopie-doo. You do run Town Map, which is utterly useless except for this situation. And yes, I will go ahead and say it really was useless. You have a few other weird things to put in here. No, I shouldn't say weird. I should say they're because they're really good. But just in respect, we're going to Dark Explorers, and we come up on Empoleon. Empoleon's diving draws basically discard a card and draw 2 cards. That's all you do. Tap command for 1 water does 10 damage times the number of Pokemon in play. So this is probably the most broken stage 2 that we've had in a while. So with Clefable, oh my god, you can run say a 2-2 or a 2-2-2 or a 3-3-3 and just keep using Clefable and just flipping coins. If you flip a heads, then whoop-de-doo. If you don't, that's fine. And you got the card in your hand beforehand, like say you got a Piplup down, you have a Prinplup, you can play that down and then use the Moon Guidance, and you could still evolve Empoleon that way. And what I think is cool about that is you can go into a turn 2 Empoleon without even having to do anything really. If you have a Clefairy and a Piplup down, which I have had before, and what happens is the next turn you have not only Clefable, but you also have Prinplup. You evolve to Prinplup, and if you flip heads from Moon Guidance, you can take the Empoleon from your deck and put it straight onto it, attach the water, attach the Floatstone, get it out of the way, and boom, hit for what it was, 70 then at that time. But basically it was Empoleon, Magnezone, and Dusknoir. So I basically just got to move my opponent's damage counters in whichever freaking way I wanted, and my opponent really couldn't do a thing because I could just scoop up Cyclone. But I honestly did not know that it was not going to be printed. I just used the cards that were in the Japanese set. As soon as they released something in Japan, I just had that tendency to test it and everything, just to see what's going to happen. The next deck, and that's probably one of the few that actually has a chance, but sucks to the point where you'll never run it past testing, just for shits and giggles. You know exactly what I mean. Let's see if we go into the Dragon Vault set. And this is an interesting combo that I probably haven't thought of all by myself, but I at least gave it enough thought to where I could figure out how I'd want to play it. And this was actually my idea for my state championship deck because I couldn't find 2 Tropical Beach. It kind of went downhill, and yes, this deck really does require 2 Tropical Beach in order to win the tournament. Now, you might be able to win a few games without the Tropical Beach, but I could not. There's no way I could win the tournament because I could barely win a game without him. And the deck basically runs off of Pokemon Salamence from the Dragon Ball set. And it says its ability Scornful Storm says once during your turn you may have your opponent discard cards until her hand until they have 4 cards left. So your opponent now has 4 cards. And how do you play this one out? Well, you have a few other ways because Salamence can really sit on the bench and do whatever the heck. You can have things such as in a like this, for instance, Hooligans Jim and Haas, however you say it. Don't pay attention because I never use them. There were if I flipped heads, then yay, you know, my opponent's left the 1 card, and then I can switch to Watchog, one of the Watchhogs, and basically look at their top 5 and rearrange them so they don't draw crap, and so I know what they're going to draw the next turn. Then what happens after that is if I can't flip a heads off the Hooligans Jimmy Kaz, I do have a Mungus that can flip a coins, and then I have a Victini, so there's 3 coin flips. Out of 1 of them, I'm bound to hit a heads. The only problem is, what is their next top card? That would be the only concern. So, I'm actually, you know, not too concerned with it, but it is area of interest because your opponent's obviously going to discard the cards that they would least use. So you would have to be very careful in what to pick. You would need to pick kind of carefully, but I mean, I always ended up doing really well, leaving them with 1 card, and in some cases none, to where they just draw the top card. In cases where I couldn't find Watchog, I just attacked with a Mungus straight up. And with Verbeek City Gym and Hypnotoxic Laser, I mean, it just worked perfectly. And the deck ultimately requires you to run 2 supporter cards, 1 to set up and 1 to finish. So yes, it is a little hefty, but when you think about it, you're averaging 60 damage a turn if they cannot like retreat out of it, or if they can't find the switch or something like that. They're taking 60 damage basically every turn, because in between turns it's 30 from poison. So it comes back and does 30 and 30, combining 60. So if the longer you can stall them out, the better. I swear I make the best sweet tea in the world. Anyway, that is that deck. The next deck is one that kind of complements Gothitelle, but I like it better. Let's see, where are you at, you son of a bitch? Here we go. This is my new buddy, Dragonite. I'm sure you all have heard of poor little Dragonite. And being a stage 2, 150 HP dragon type, weak to dragon, retreat cost of 3, and has an attack for 3 colorless called Deafen, does 60, and it says your opponent can't play any item cards from his or her hand during their next turn. So, now that we have a trainer lock, or in this case an item lock, now this is the time to use Dragonite, because we have too many great item cards that literally are staples in every deck. And when it comes to this, it's just good to be prepared to take out these decks. Dragonite does just such a good job at this that you don't even really need Dragonite up front. You can use Pokemon to take Dragonite's place, like say, I don't know, Mew Prime. You can, or not Prime, oh my god, I swear I'm still stuck in the freaking Harklezel Silver era. And Mew EX is one of those Pokemon that's probably your best bet, and the reason I say that is because you can have Mew EX up, and that way you can attack with it while you're setting up another Dragonite and then another Dragonite, and that way you won't have to risk that Dragonite being knocked out in a few turns, causing you to possibly not be able to pull off another Deafen, because if you go one turn without a Deafen, that could literally turn the tide for the opponent. Now, Dragonite is unbeatable if you play it correctly, but no one plays it correctly, so therefore it is completely beatable. If you think of a great deck, a deck better than mine, please tell me, because my deck, well, I shouldn't say sucks, it doesn't, it is basically a 50-50. If I can get off definite wins, if I can't, it doesn't. So I need to see if there's someone out there that can get this deck to work. And you don't just run Dragonite for this, obviously. You do run a combination with Altaria to, do more damage. And obviously I said Mew EX to help you in your endeavor to get more Dragonite onto your bench, so you don't have to scramble with one Dragonite at a time. And you don't run Ditto in this deck for one very good reason, that you already have way too many basic Pokemon. It just takes up space in this deck. Ooh, me, excuse me. And it's just a great concept overall, is being able to use Dragonite like this, because when in this case, and let me get to Altaria, because I really want to make a good point with this while I can. The Altaria does not work in favor of Mew Prime. Where the heck is this stupid thing at? I thought it was in... That's in Dragons Exalted, I forgot. It's in the very first set they printed. Here we go. Okay. Mew EX does not get the boost from Altaria. I will stress that all I can, because it says your Dragon Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage, the active Pokemon. Because I know people are... If I didn't say it, people would put it on there that Altaria doesn't do 20 more to Mew EX. I know this. Mew EX basically sets up enough pressure with one Deafen or two until I can get multiple Dragonites set up to where I can get the energy onto them and keep attacking to where my opponent cannot play items the entire match. If they can't play items the entire match, the game is mine. There is not a deck in this format who cannot go without running items, including Dragonite. Dragonite has to run items itself. And even Gothitelle runs items, even though it is an item lot. Like I said, every deck requires items to set up, and if you take them away, your opponent will lose. So why would I put myself in the situation where I would use Mew EX and do 60 instead of taking Dragonite out to do 80 or 100? That's a good question. And the answer is that obviously you'd want to do more damage while doing the trainer lock, but it's too much of a risk to get Dragonite involved in possibly a 2-hit shot. Why not let Mew EX take the 2-hit shot? Because then, since you can use Dragonite's attack anyway, Dragonite gets to come in and it can use its attack right away, so your Deafen lock keeps going. Now, there's one player that would agree with me entirely, and that is Jason Klaczynski, aka Ness. And the reason he would agree with me in this situation is because he uses the exact same situation in the 2006 Worlds deck. With Manectric EX, he used Mew EX. And Mew EX did the exact same thing. It just used the attack of any Pokemon in play. And because Mew EX could come out and attack, it saves the Manectric on the bench from having to come out and attack. So you can keep using that particular attack over and over without risking the Pokemon that actually knows the attack. Once the first Pokemon goes out, then you've got your army to start going. Since you can keep the lock going, then you can start doing more damage and focus on making the knockout now that you have the lock. This is by far the best deck that I have. So, with that comes a few more decks that I really want to get in. And hold on one second, let me see. Oh my god, we are nearing 30 minutes. So I'm not gonna take too much longer, and my battery. Let's see. Oh, my battery's not gonna go dead anytime soon, so we're good. Um, the next one is kind of a basic stage 2 Shotter deck, and it's a weird deck, but not a it's not a broken deck, but it's a really good concept. And this one is the Kyurem from the Noble Victories. And we haven't seen this boy in a long time, and he sure could use a little bit of praise right now. Because I am going to pair him with, from the, and I think it's Boundaries Crossed. Let me see. Well, I guess it's not. Let's see, Plasma Storm. It's got to be in Plasma Storm now, I'm guessing. It's not in there. Okay, so it's got to be in Dragons Exalted. What? Okay, so I honestly don't know where this stupid Pokemon is. I apologize for wasting you guys' time with this, trying to find just one card in general. It's not really what I'm up for doing, but I'm trying to make sure that I don't go on one word, because, you know, I want to make sure that, you know, tell it like it is. Dragons Exalted, yeah, I didn't see it here. It might be, but I didn't see it. What the heck is got to be in one of these sets? Plasma Freeze, maybe? I doubt it. Well, let's look. No, I didn't think it was. Let's see. Okay, in format. Dark Explorers. It's not Dark Explorers. The next set of Dragons Exalted is in a Dragons Exalted. I do not see it. Therefore, it's not Dragons Exalted. It is the Boundaries Crossed. I do not see it in Boundaries Crossed. Therefore, it is not in Boundaries Crossed. This is in Plasma Storm. You gotta be kidding me. I know for a fact that it's in one of these sets. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what the Pokemon was I'm thinking of. I can't find it. But the Pokemon I was thinking of, and I don't know why it's not coming up, is Dusknoir. And that Pokemon is going to be paired with the Kyurem that I was saying. And basically what happens here is that you're doing 30 to each of your opponent's Pokemon, and that can range anywhere from 30 to 180. Now, the more Pokemon your opponent puts down, the better, because this does more damage and gives Dusknoir more chances to make knockouts with this damage. Now, the more times Kyurem can attack, the more damage it does, obviously. So, the one key to this deck is to avoid one particular Pokemon in Mr. Mime. So, to counter Mr. Mime, we have the Catcher-Kill combo that we all love dearly. And the crazy thing about this is that you do run Mew EX again. I know, not the best idea in the world. However, you need Mew EX to survive in some of these decks that you absolutely cannot get to work in some occasions. So, the best idea for this, and I haven't really thought much of how I'm going to accelerate the energy. I just kind of, got it to work by turn 3. I was able to find the rare candy Dusknoir, and I was, my opponent ended up getting about 3 to 4 bench Pokemon average, so I was doing, 120, 150 on average, spread across the board, and I was just unleashing that kind of damage one by one, and eventually I was able to get enough damage piled up to where I could make 6 knockouts. or sorry, not 6 6 prizes. And it is a deck that does require some skill to play, but you just have to know exactly what to target, what to catch her at what time, what to throw down at what time. I mean, this is a complete mind game. You have to have some experience in this game to play this deck. A newbie would not be able to take this deck and just run with it because, it requires that much thought and consistency, because it requires a basic in Stage 2 that never should be paired together except in situations where they are. Now, that makes no sense to you guys, but it kind of does to some of the older players, because we had situations where things like Muck and Aerodactyl were paired together and no one knew for what reason why. Then, that is probably one of the few decks that if you can get it to set up, it is actually going to work. Now, I have no idea why in the world I cannot find it, because I know for a fact it came out. It had to come out Boundaries Crossed because I remember the card. I absolutely just remember it. 60, yep. 60 through 60. Oh my god, I'm missing a 61 through 65 from Boundaries Crossed. No wonder I couldn't find it. I knew it was in Boundaries Crossed the whole time. So, unfortunately, I didn't download it, but I will be doing that tonight now that I know, because I want to make sure a picture of every card in format. And I think I've got time for, let's see, how many more of my decks am I going to do? My battery's running a little low, so I got time for 2 more decks. Okay, and I won't be long at all with this. The deck in mind here is the Reuniclus Cresselia EX deck. And because I am really creative with these basic Stage 2 decks, I'm just going to explain the general process of it. It's basically Reuniclus sits on the bench and damage swaps to where it evens out on Cresselia EX. You would normally put 2 on one, 2 on the other, 2 on the other, and so on, so you could heal an ideal 80 damage. That was pretty obvious. And the best part about it is that Cresselia for 1 second, 3 colorless, does 9 during your next turn. It has no weakness. So that's a good thing. The next deck is actually going to go back really, really far, basically to the start, and is going to make a little run. Let's see. Where are you at? I know you're... Oh, here we go. Alright. Now, this really kind of probably doesn't make a lot of sense to people because it might be too bulky, but I like this idea. You guys remember Samurott from a long time ago and how it works and how it can work with Blastoise. Well, with the shell armor, I figured, well, with this you don't even really have to have Eviolite. I mean, it has a 2 retreat cost, which is, you can get around with. And the thing you want to know about most is its shell armor and how it works. But I thought to myself, well, why in the world would you want to just put up with the shell armor with Blastoise? And I thought to myself, well, then you could open yourself up to WLFM energy. Then you could pull out a lot cooler combos. And let's see, I'm going to have to go to another set here. And the WLFM energy does end up working with the Landorus EX, so you can start with that while you're setting up your Stage 2s. And you can also run combination of Black Kyurem with this deck with the WLFM energy, which is okay, and that's pretty much it. It's you don't really get a chance to use the M unless you want to be creative and make a use for it. But like I said, guys, the really out of all those decks, the only ones to even consider are probably Dragonite, the Dusknoir, and Reggie, or sorry, not Registalius. That was before. Dusknoir Kyurem, and possibly a few other decks. But these are just a few ideas, and like I said, guys, I'm just trying to see if I'm gonna give you guys some ideas. Sorry, it's kind of hurt my view, but I just thought I'd give you guys some good ideas, and you know, just try to help you out. If you guys have any videos in particular you want to see, just hit me up and let me know. Just email me on YouTube, and I'll be more than happy to try to put up a video of a deck you want me to test out. I'll test it out and I'll put it up and tell you what I find. So guys, it's good talking to you, and sorry I took up 50 minutes of your time, but as always, I hope y'all have a great day. Make sure if you haven't subscribed to the channel down below, and thanks for watching, and I'll get those deck lists up if I can. If I can, I'll put them in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time at Shinty's Club.